The secret meeting, Felipe, Letizia, and Leonor. Imagine a room bathed in muted light, far from cameras, far from public gaze. A table sits at the center, papers neatly stacked, ceremonial yet deliberate. Here, Spain's monarchy faces one of its most delicate processes, the shaping of a future queen, the quiet transmission of responsibility. King Felipe VI, Queen Letizia, and Princess Leonor are together, a family, yes, but also the core of an institution that must balance legacy with continuity. The tension in the air is not drama, it is consequence. Notice the subtle movements, a hand resting on a folder, a nod of acknowledgement, a pause that stretches longer than polite conversation dictates. These gestures are more than courtesy, they are instruction. Princess Leonor is learning, silently, the rhythm of governance, the cadence of duty. Every measured word, every careful glance carries lessons the public cannot see, lessons that define the monarchy's future. The phrase on the thumbnail, crisis meeting, is not exaggeration. It signals the gravity of what unfolds behind closed doors. These are not casual family discussions. They are rehearsals for moments when decisions will affect a nation. The monarchy relies on these private sessions to ensure that when Princess Leonor steps fully into her role, continuity is seamless, stability unquestioned. Yet what the cameras never capture is the subtle interrogation of readiness. Notice how she listens, the way her eyes flick between parents, weighing responses. Body language is protocol here, posture conveys comprehension. This is training as much as guidance. A young heir is being conditioned to understand that leadership is silent, observational, and strategic. Headlines may frame these gatherings as private family moments, humanizing snapshots of royalty. Insiders, however, see the layers beneath, the interplay of instruction, assessment, and quiet correction. Every pause, every unspoken cue, is a signal that the institution watches even when it appears to rest. Even the smallest details carry meaning. The placement of documents, the order in which topics are addressed, the deliberate sequencing of historical precedent, these are not accidental. Each is a subtle test of discernment, an exercise in internalizing responsibility. Few realize how such intricacies reinforce centuries of constitutional expectation, tying youthful promise directly to institutional continuity. And just when it seems routine, a rhetorical cliffhanger emerges. What happens when the lessons of private deliberation meet the unpredictability of public scrutiny? Can preparation withstand sudden crises without faltering? This is the very question these secret meetings are designed to answer, not through spectacle, but through measured guidance and controlled exposure. The monarchy is not merely ceremonial, it is an active guardian of Spain's stability. Every session, every quiet discussion between Felipe, Letizia, and Leonor, is an investment in the seamless transfer of authority. It is where strategy meets tradition, where mentorship becomes governance. And while the public sees a composed young princess, inside, she is absorbing the unspoken rules that will define her reign. Even as the meeting concludes, there is an awareness that the work is far from over. Decisions made here ripple outward, influencing public perception, diplomatic interactions, and the subtle maintenance of national identity. This is not a family conversation, it is the rehearsal of a constitutional process, one that ensures Spain's monarchy remains unshakable. And as the room empties, the lesson lingers. The crown is not just inherited, it is earned through understanding, patience, and the quiet absorption of centuries of institutional knowledge. The next chapter waits, and the stakes, though unseen, are immense. The second layer of the meeting is less visible but far more revealing. It is here that instruction shifts from observation to subtle interrogation. King Felipe does not speak for effect, he speaks to measure understanding. Queen Letizia does not correct for appearance, she corrects for comprehension. And Princess Leonor listens, absorbs, and responds with careful precision, aware that every gesture is being evaluated, every hesitation noted. Notice the way her hands rest on the table, fingers lightly touching the edge, posture straight yet attentive. This is not idle formality. It is a language in itself, a silent demonstration of readiness. Body language, in moments like these, communicates as much as words. And in the constitutional framework of Spain, perception and comportment are inseparable from authority. Media reports might later frame the meeting as a humanizing glimpse into a royal family handling challenges together. But insiders know the subtext is far deeper. This is a deliberate calibration of responsibility. What seems like a discussion about daily schedules or upcoming appearances is, in reality, a rehearsal for decision-making under pressure. Every suggestion, every question, is a test of judgment and composure. Even the order in which topics are addressed carries significance. Strategic matters are introduced first, to gauge immediate comprehension. Historical context follows, reinforcing continuity and precedent. Practical implications conclude the session, ensuring that theory meets actionable understanding. It is a choreography designed to prepare a young heir not for ceremony alone, but for the real, unscripted demands of leadership. And here is the rhetorical twist almost nobody outside the palace sees: the meeting is not about what Princess Leonor will do. It is about what the institution will trust her to handle. Every correction, every nod of approval, is the monarchy's way of silently negotiating confidence in the next generation. It is less about performance and more about alignment with centuries of precedent, constitutional expectation, and the subtle weight of national identity. The tension between privacy and public duty is palpable. The monarchy exists to maintain stability, yet the heir must also learn to act decisively in public. This private session, carefully orchestrated, bridges that gap. It teaches discretion, ensures comprehension, and instills the principle that authority is always exercised responsibly, even when unseen. And just when it seems the session might conclude, a pause emerges. A question is posed not to solicit an answer, but to observe instinct. How does she react under subtle pressure? How does she weigh information, prioritize action, and maintain composure? This is the essence of preparation, testing judgment, patience, and clarity without spectacle, because the true challenges of monarchy are rarely public. The significance of these private exchanges cannot be overstated. Each moment builds a framework within which Princess Leonor will operate, a structure invisible to the public eye, yet essential to the continuity of the institution. And beneath it all, a quiet lesson resonates: leadership is as much about restraint, observation, and thoughtful response as it is about action. Even as the discussion continues, the unspoken question lingers: how much of what she absorbs today will translate into the decisiveness required tomorrow? This is where the monarchy quietly ensures that its future leader will not only inherit a crown, but also the judgment, resilience, and composure necessary to sustain it. And as the meeting draws toward its conclusion, another layer appears, one that foreshadows the next challenge. What happens when theory meets reality, when the calculated lessons of private deliberation must be applied under the scrutiny of the public, the press, and the ever-watchful eye of history itself? The answer, for now, remains unwritten, quietly awaiting the moment when Princess Leonor will step forward, tested and prepared, into the role she is destined to assume. As the meeting winds down, the room grows quieter, but the weight of what just occurred lingers like a shadow. What seems like an ordinary family conversation is anything but. Every word exchanged, every nod, every pause has reinforced a lesson far deeper than etiquette or protocol. Princess Leonor is absorbing responsibility not as an abstract concept, but as a living, breathing reality, one she will carry every day of her life. Even in private, there is no escape from expectation. The crown is not a reward for diligence, it is a mantle that requires constant vigilance. The monarchy does not measure achievement in applause or headlines, but in consistency, judgment, and composure under scrutiny. And today, in this room, she has taken another step toward mastering that balance. The lessons extend beyond immediate decision-making. They are about continuity, stability, and the silent confidence a constitutional monarchy must convey. What appears simple, a discussion of schedules, a review of upcoming events, is actually the meticulous shaping of instinct. Each subtle correction and carefully framed question teaches her to weigh consequences before acting, to consider tradition before innovation, and to hold herself accountable not to popularity, but to the institution she will one day embody. Crowds cheer outside. Cameras capture smiles and protocol. But inside, the real test has nothing to do with performance. It is quiet, almost imperceptible. It is about how Princess Leonor interprets guidance, manages pressure, and internalizes the gravity of her future role. The monarchy exists in part to preserve the nation's trust, and that trust is earned here, in these intimate, unobserved moments. Even as the family disperses, the implications remain. What she has learned today will echo in future decisions, in public appearances, in the subtle ways a monarch steadies a nation without needing to speak. The quiet discipline of this meeting is a rehearsal for a life defined by responsibility, where instinct must always serve continuity. And yet, as she leaves the room, a final lesson hangs in the air: preparation is endless. The crown waits. The nation watches. And in every decision, private or public, the future of Spain's monarchy will rely on the calm, measured judgment cultivated in moments like this, moments that, though unseen, are shaping a queen who is unstoppable.